Hey everyone, this is Trevor, and thank you for coming to my channel, Pioneer Spirit. Greatly appreciate everyone who supports the channel through subscribing, liking, commenting, viewing the videos right till the very end. It's all greatly appreciated. Thank you. That being said, I've made some videos on how I feel every citizen, how I feel and think every citizen, every good citizen on this earth has the right to bear arms. Whether you are, and I am an advocate for the American style Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, and I am for the First Amendment that America has, and that's freedom of speech. And those two amendments, the First and Second Amendments, they are so intertwined, okay? It's beautiful. The fellas who wrote that Constitution, stone cold geniuses. Now I do, because I am a student also of Lysander Spooner, and he's not a fan of social contracts. I do have to, I wrap my mind around these things, and I go back and forth. I do feel the U.S. Constitution is, I guess, the best way to put it is it's the best social contract that's ever been written. Unfortunately, I also do think that a contract that you can't sign should be null and void. So, trying to wrap my mind around that one is always an interesting thing for me to do every day. But that being said, whether you have it in a constitution or you do feel it's a natural born right to self-preservation, I do feel and think that every good human has the right to bear arms, because the world we live in, comes with countries and social contracts. And the fact that we do have governments and countries, the governments do arm their employees. So government is armed, and people who would wish to commit a crime against humanity on you, whether that would be through a government or, a criminal, they are going to have whatever means necessary to do harm to you. And in this modern days, it is firearms. So if governments can arm themselves and criminals are going to arm themselves, I think that good citizens should be able to arm themselves. And what I'd like to talk about today in the right to bear arms is, and I'd like to point out what happened in Israel on October 7th of this year, 2023. And it was the fact that Hamas terrorists came across the border. Now, you can sit here and say, I know there's people, and I still do question, how in the heck did these guys get across the Israeli border? They have the Iron Dome. They have platoon garrisons along the way. Like, I don't understand that part, but I don't want to get too much into that. What I really just want to focus on today, okay, whether that Israel failed, or some people say will purposely allowed Hamas to come in. That's okay. I don't want to get too much into that. That is something to think about, though. That is definitely some food for thought. But what I would like to point out is, now I was surprised too. Let me just say that I was surprised to find out that only 3% of the Israeli citizens have firearms. I was completely shocked. If you're hearing this for the first time as well, it's completely shocking considering just, the whole Israeli Middle East, the whole thing, the situations that go on there. I would have, I guess, I would have thought the Israeli government would have said, okay, after everyone finishes their compulsory, I think it's two years in the military in Israel, that everyone who completes their compulsory military service will also, now I don't like mandates and compulsory, but I would have thought the government would have said, once you finish that compulsory military service, you have to, as a good Israeli citizen, own a rifle, a semi-auto rifle, or perhaps a semi-auto or pump shotgun, some kind of rifle. And I would have also thought Israel would have had some kind of, at least what we have here in Canada for handguns. I mean, you can own a handgun. Well, at least the last time I checked, because I am from Canada, you can own a handgun. I would have thought that the Israeli government would have at least had citizens have, at least in a Canadian-style handgun law, where you can own one, where it has to be locked up, and ammo has to be separate and whatnot. It's kind of, it'd be difficult to get to your handgun and arm it in a situation that happened to the Israelis on October 7th, but at least allow them to own the handguns, okay? But I would have definitely made it compulsory that Israeli adults who had completed their military service would have had to say, you need to own now, whether it be like, a semi-auto rifle. Okay, they're not even military grade, okay? And that's the thing with the right to bear arms. You have to remember, too, that civilian AR-15s and, the so-called assault rifles, they're not military grade. They're not military grade. These things are made for, civilian firearms. Rifles, they're made for hunting, target shooting, just things like that. But had the Israelis had some kind of the program where the government says, look, you're an adult now, you're living in Israel, you have to have some kind of semi-auto rifle in your home or shotgun. It would have fared a lot better for the Israelis that were attacked. Okay, the Hamas terrorists that kicked in the front doors, that were confronted by obviously unarmed adults, they had no problem, like shooting fish in a barrel. Okay, but had those Hamas terrorists that came into the Israeli settlements, villages, towns, been confronted by, say, go to kick in a door, and on the other side, Dad's got a Mossberg 590M with a 20-round magazine filled with slug rounds, and Mom's beside him with a semi-auto AR-15. Okay, it would have been a wholly different game. Okay, wouldn't have been as good as what the Hamas terrorists had confronting the Israelis, but I'll tell you, a hell of a lot better than nothing. Nothing, putting your hands up saying, please don't shoot, that gets you nowhere, but dead. So I use, as what happened on October 7th, is a perfect example of why citizens need to have like an American 2A style right to bear arms. And again, people are like, oh yeah, but they can't have all this. You know what? Like, a citizen does not own what the government, police and military have. A citizen, isn't owning what the criminals, they will get whatever they want. So citizens should at least have something like Israel, and I'll continue to point this out. Had the citizens in those homes even just a pump action shotgun, Mossberg. I'm partial to Mossberg over Remington, but I'll tell you, it doesn't matter. Remington, Benelli, Mossberg, whatever, even a double barrel shotgun, that would have been a heck of a lot better than what they had, which was nothing. Absolutely nothing. So people that come into your home who are going to kill you, they're going to delete you, you're gone. You need to have that protection, that right to bear arms. So, had the parents, and whether the parents or adults, single adults in their home, they would have at least had a chance. Okay, had they had a chance to go and just unlock that safe, and they had their at least something. Okay, if they'd had time to at least get to a rifle, a shotgun, a handgun. Okay, the odds of what happens in those kind of situations are drastically reduced. Okay, drastically reduced when good citizens have the right to bear arms. Okay, these kind of situations, yeah, could they happen? Absolutely. If somebody's just completely 100% gone, they can go ahead and do it. But at least good citizens that can be armed can stop that as quickly as they can. But when you have gun-free zones, which is basically what Israel is, they're starting to change a bit more. You're going to have these situations where bad people with guns want to commit a crime, they will commit it. But had they, would they have, it might be a different situation. I think a completely different situation with Hamas. Would they have come across and attacked like that? Maybe so. Maybe so. Maybe they still would have come across. But I'll tell you, those people would have had a fighting chance. And that's what I'm an advocate for. You got to have good people need the fighting chance when it comes down to it. Okay, that's why we all need around the world. Doesn't matter. Canada, UK, especially America. You got Americans watching. You got to hold on to that 2A. You got to hold on to that natural born right to self-defense. But I point out Israel as what happened on October 7th as a shining example of the failure of government to having their citizens armed. So you're going to have situations like that. You create gun-free zones, you're going to have bad people come into them. And I've pointed this out before, but can anyone point out where someone has, gone into a police station? Armed people who want to delete people for whatever their cause is, they don't go into heavily armed areas such as a police station because they're going to get deleted quick. No, they go into the areas where they know there are a large number of people, such as schools that are gun-free zones. This is why I would say a school should have its principal and vice principal, at least those two people should be armed at all times to cut down on the number of people that could be deleted. Now, and those people who think, how many school shootings would be, I think, dramatically reduced if those people knew that, I know that the principal, the vice principal, and maybe a couple other adults in that school are concealed carrying a handgun. I think it would drastically reduce those things. Now, of course, again, you got your 100% insane people that are just going to do it anyways. But, hey, they're going to be stopped if someone is armed. Okay, a good citizen that's armed that's what you want. I think that's what every politician should be aiming for. But they don't seem to. And, again, Israel, total shock that only 3% of the civilian population owned a firearm. I just would have thought that they would have had some better gun laws, especially on just your basic semi-auto rifles and pump action shotguns. Again, just a few adults armed with a basic shotgun could have slowed those terrorists down, taken a few of them out, saved some more lives. Okay, good armed people save lives because good people aren't going to be pulling their guns out knowing that there's other good people around here. So you wouldn't be so stupid to do that. Okay, so I just wanted to point that situation out as a situation that's a perfect example for why every good citizen on this earth has and should have in their social contract, I guess if you're going to follow that, then we should have the right to bear arms so that these kind of situations, should they arise, you can defend yourself. And the people at that event in Israel, the 200 to 300 young people, had they had, I don't know if they could have had, paid people with concealed handguns, even a few of them, if they had concealed handguns, I think it would have definitely helped them out. Even a dozen or so people armed with concealed carry semi-auto pistols, revolvers, whatever, would have definitely helped them out. But of course, the situation, it happened, and unarmed people were like lambs to slaughter. And that's what happens when good people are unarmed. You become a lamb to slaughter. So I want people to think about this. I want you to think about this. If you're truly anti-gun, explain to me, change my mind below and tell me why I'm wrong in saying the things that I have when it comes to the right to self-defense, the right to bear arms. I mean, you certainly wouldn't send your police into the field, into the streets unarmed. So why would we send good people out unarmed? Because you certainly can't call a police officer over in a few seconds. And this is what happened in Israel. The military and police were nowhere to be found. Now, that is another issue I've done in some other videos too. Why did it take so long? I'm not big on the conspiracy end that they allowed it to happen, but that is, people have asked that question. But I just to stick to the main issues here. If every citizen has the right to bear arms, we will make the world a better and safer place, more respectful. And I think it'll be a better place. So I'm just going to leave it there. Look, I hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for watching my videos right up to the very end. I appreciate everyone's support, liking and subscribing. Greatly appreciated. And just try to do the best you can and stay free. Okay, bye-bye.